great. You're not good.
No. I'll be
You've
fine.
been displaced for a while.
Yeah, it's been a
You're in
long
between
time.
like moving situations.
It's just a lot of change that
Yes.
feels never ending.
Mm-hmm.
So there are days where I'm better than others. And today isn't one. I was honestly doing okay. And then I went to get coffee this morning and I was going to do a U-turn, which of course was illegal where I was doing it. And a random pedestrian yelled at me.
Oh, they caught you.
Just don't like when random
What'd they
pedestrians
say to
yell
you?
at me. They were like, they didn't really yell. They like pointed. They were like pointed to the no U-turn sign.
Yes, but Jen, it's because it's just you and that one other person who live in that
That's
town.
what I'm saying is like, what's going to happen if I do this U-turn right
How
now?
many
Like
other cars
literally
were out in your
no
small
one,
town you're in?
no one. So I'm like, I am going to be a real badass and I'm going to break the law today. And I am
Yes,
going
you
to
are.
do this U-turn when no one is around and the pedestrian was not happy with me.
Yeah. Well, they
So
showed you.
they showed me.
You
So
got called out.
that really, kicked my day off,
Absolutely.
but things are looking up. I'm seeing your gorgeous, beautiful face.
Hey, tell me, well, let's let's mix it up. What's your favorite holiday? Izzy asked.
Uh, I need to think about this. You go first.
You know what?
You don't know either.
Well, because I'm not, so keep in mind, I am not religious at all. So
Neither
for
am
me, when I
I.
say a holiday, it has nothing to do with the religion aspect. I just have to say that right now.
Yeah.
I fucking like Easter, man. I like the eggs. I like the egg hunt. I like bunnies. I like Christmas too. I just feel like it's the like actual holiday season, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah,
Yeah.
Christmas together is actually a tremendous amount of pressure.
Yes.
I don't feel like that at all with Easter.
Yeah.
And so like for me, Easter is just like cool to watch an egg hunt. So like
Okay.
I dig Easter.
Okay. Now that you say that, I'm also not religious,
Yes.
but I think my favorite holiday is Yom Kippur. And I'll tell you why. Oh, wait, is
Yes.
that the one? The one where you fast. And I'll tell you what, I don't fast. I don't
Yeah,
fast
it
during
is
the
Yom
day
Kippur.
at
Yeah.
all. However, what does happen is when you break the fast, you eat
Everyone's eating.
and you eat bagels for dinner. At
You
least
don't
my
do that
family
any day of the
does.
week.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like it's like a celebration of
Yes.
like eating bagels for dinner, and like who wouldn't want that?
No, it is so true. Like it's so lovely.
I don't know if anyone would
Wait,
else would say
but
that
is
was
it
their
Rosh
favorite.
Hashanah that's apples and honey?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I like apples and honey. I
Me
do like
too,
that
but
part.
not as
Yes.
much as bagels for dinner.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. So like it has nothing to do with religion, but I would say that's what it is. Thank you, Izzy. But hey, the holidays are
Oh, wait.
happening. So
Oh, there was another one. I guess we could
there
use
was
this for
option. Well,
the
someone else had Pam had asked, and what's one of your irrational fears? Do you have one?
I have so many. Try and choose. Try and choose which one. I think my biggest, growing up, I had a real fear of natural disasters,
Oh,
which I don't know how irrational that is.
yeah. Climate change is probably not that irrational anymore.
Right, right. That's got my
30
mom.
years ago, probably was, maybe not so much.
And I think it comes from when there was a lightning storm. My mom
Oh.
was very anxious and she used to tell us to put on rubber shoes and run to the basement. And believe it or not, our house actually got struck by lightning.
She wasn't wrong.
Was it? And so like her very rational fear actually came true. I mean, it ended up being fine. The house didn't catch on fire. We like ran over to my neighbor's house, but it was a wild experience. Isn't that crazy?
I don't think I knew that story.
Yeah. We're learning new things about each
We're
other every
learning new
day.
things. Wow. All
I know.
right. Mine is something biting my fucking vagina in the toilet.
Oh,
Like
I think,
mine is,
yeah, a lot of
yeah,
people have
it's like
that.
the snake or a scorpion or like we live in Pennsylvania. There's no scorpions. But my thing is totally something comes out of the toilet and bites me.
Do you hover because of that?
Um, no, I don't have right.
That's too
I make
hard.
no
Hovering's
precautions for
way.
this irrational fear.
Hovering's too hard.
No, yeah, there's no. I guess also sometimes I told you we talked about this before. The movie The Strangers. I was in high school.
Uh,
I've never that movie did severe damage to me. And so
yeah.
now I have a fear like at night, especially if I'm like letting the dogs out, that there's gonna be somebody in the window. So
Oh,
that's
that's
a
so
little bit of I think from
scary.
that fucking movie.
That movie really, that honestly,
Yeah.
that movie was scary. Scary movies don't really get me, but like that
Ugh.
movie really, really
You know, like
Was.
I can't watch any, like for me, like a scary movie is like James and the Giant Peach. Like I'm like, that peach is too big. I don't like that.
I mean, that peach was
Too big.
absurdly big. Yeah.
It's too big.
I mean, I don't know if it would scare me, but it was insane. That was an insane peach. I agree.
But hey, you're listening to this episode and we're pretty darn close to the holidays. So we're gonna do a holiday Q&A today. But I just want to start out by saying this. Whatever the season is for you, that is okay. There is a lot of pressure around the holidays that you supposed to feel a certain way or do certain things. And for a lot of us, the holidays are actually incredibly grief-filled
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So I want to start out by saying if you are not in the holiday spirit today, that is a-okay. If you're feeling stressed around this, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you have financial pressure this time of year and feel like you have to be giving to others and all of these different stuff, worried about comments of what you're eating, I just want to let you know we're thinking about you and it is what it is this year and you're going to get through this or you're going to have a wonderful time and it could be everything in between.
The reason why we say this is because so many people experience emotions other than joy during the holidays. And we're inundated with commercials, with movies, with that are showing us this picture perfect family of here are what the holidays look like. And here's what joy, you're supposed to feel this. And it's this like warm joy, love. And when you're seeing that and you're not feeling it, your grief or your pain can get even bigger because we start to say, well, why aren't I feeling that? Like, is something wrong with me? And something is not wrong with you. So many people experience difficult emotions during the holidays. And so, even if you're not seeing it on TV or you're not seeing it on Instagram, social media, it doesn't mean that you're alone. Other people are going through it too. And so, just know that there's nothing wrong with you and do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself during the holidays.
Mhm.
And that beautifully brings us into our first question: the grief of losing that childhood joy of the holidays as an adult.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you're a kid, depending on your family, for a lot of kids, the holidays are super cool and exciting.
Yeah.
Even, it's such an interesting, even at school, they're like so hyped up about holidays. And I'm like, man, it's like we got fucking like I feel like December 1st, my kids coming home talk about this, about the holidays. And I'm like, tone it down. Um, Puts the pressure on high. But it is, as a child, right? It feels a lot more magical. As an adult, it feels like a tremendous amount of pressure often. And so I wonder if one, you can allow yourself to feel that grief while also looking for the shining parts as an adult. And they might not be as big and they might not be as magical, but they're there. And what do you have to transition that into to find a small bit of joy and magic as an adult?
I also love the idea of looking at what was it about the holidays that felt really joyful for you as a child, right? Was it, oh, I'm getting surprise presents? Was it, oh, I'm with my family, everyone's at whatever it is? If there's any pieces of that that you can look at and say, are there ways in which I can give that to myself? I think as an adult, we're so focused on like, how do I buy for other people? How do I take care of other people? Which is beautiful. But I think it's also important to think about like, what is it that I can give to myself during this holiday season? Um, are there ways that I can spark some joy for myself? What do I need? Do I even need the gift of taking a little pressure off myself of buying every single person in the family a gift, right? What are the things that I can give to myself this holiday season? Because I think as an adult, there's a lot of pressure on and focus on other people. And so I think finding the balance in that is really important.
Someone had written about, I'm struggling financially, how to not feel guilty to compare, that I can't give my kids what I wish I could.
Mm.
I want to say that children want their parents. Children want memories. They might not say that. They might say, I want that Nintendo, right? Is Nintendo a thing anymore? I
I
don't fucking
don't know.
know.
You're asking the wrong person.
I'm like, they want that Furby. But
I wanted a Furby so bad. And then I got one
they're horrifying.
eventually. And they don't stop talking, and you
No.
shove them in your closet and you take the batteries out and they're still
Yeah,
talking and
too
it just
scary.
haunts you.
Absolutely
Okay,
too
keep going.
scary.
Yeah, keep going.
Um, and so your children might say they want things, but I want to tell you this. There are so many ways to give children a magical experience that are not financially tapping you out. You spend an evening cutting out, remember those, you fold the paper and you cut out a little snowflake.
Yeah, that was fun.
If you put those all over your house with your kids, that is going to bring them more joy to wake up to than that stuff. And so the guilt, I think you have to say, is that I want more for my kids, sure, but stuff does not matter the way
Yeah,
we think it does. And I believe that it is a beautiful thing to give your children to walk away from an over physical items thing, right? Like when we
yeah,
overindulge our children, that actually does not give kids the right tools. So giving kids shit is actually not the best parenting thing we can do.
yeah,
So the one guilt I want to take away from you is that there is a better way to do this that includes spending time with your children, giving them magic in other ways, and tell yourself that yes, it might be the finances that are changing this, but could there be some good in that?
yeah. Have you heard of Elf on a Shelf? Is this like something everyone knows about?
Everyone knows about Elf on a Shelf. And every fucking day, so we don't have an elf on the
Isn't
shelf.
there is there a mensch on a bench too?
There is a mensch on a bench. We don't have an elf on a shelf or a mensch on a bench, and I don't have anything because you're supposed to like move it every night. I think it's a little bit excessive. But now every kid in school has it. And so my daughter desperately wants this elf on a shelf. So I ordered one. It's
Wow.
$50 fucking dollars on
It
Amazon.
is?
Maybe it's
Okay.
higher because it's closer to the holidays right now.
Yeah.
I just ordered it. It's $50 fucking dollars, comes with a book. And I bought it. I haven't put it out yet. My plan is actually to set it up this weekend for her to wake up to because she keeps asking for it. And I told her that um excuse me, I told her that I sent a message into Santa to request one because somebody gave me the really good idea to say, like, if you don't want to get your kids one, like, listen, like, there's only so many elves to go around.
Right.
And so other kids have to grow out of the elves before one comes to your house.
Wow,
And
it's
so that's what I
beautiful.
told her.
Beautiful.
Um, but yeah, it's a lot of work. And that's the thing is you see these other families doing it, but that means every night you move this elf because that's the thing is that they're like awake at night and they tell
Right.
Santa. And yeah,
So the reason why I bring it up is because I think that right, I mean, it sounds like it's expensive, who knew? But that's an example of an experience that you're giving your child where they're waking up and they're seeing this, and it's something that's really exciting for them. Even if you can't buy the elf on a shelf, like, can you make one? Can you make one yourself? Right? I think that that's something you can choose a different stuffed animal, right? I think there are ways to be creative with it and to give your children experiences that don't necessarily come with things or come with buying more. So,
I can tell you this.
yeah.
There are very few Christmas mornings I can remember from my childhood.
Wow.
But what I can remember, like you know what I mean, like of toys, like you could sit here and say, like, what's the best present you've ever gotten? Like, I don't think I can answer that question.
Yeah.
But what I do remember is that every Christmas dinner, my grandmother had this. Something called a peppermint pig that's like an old tradition. Do you know about this?
No.
It's like a big piece of peppermint that's shaped like a pig, and you put it in this red bag, and it comes with a little mini hammer, and every person goes around and hammers the pig, and then you like take a piece out. I will remember that until the day I die. That tradition of that tiny fucking pig. Couldn't tell you a gift.
Okay, so that is really important, right? That you're remembering experiences, right? These like cool creative experiences.
Mhm.
And that doesn't necessarily have to do with things.
Yeah. Okay.
I I always feel a nagging sense of anxiety around the holidays. I first attributed it to college finals and working long hours in retail, but those days are far behind me and I still feel super anxious. How can I get out of the mindset holidays are stressful? First, let me say if you have been in experiences throughout your life, especially as your brain was developing too, your your brain might start to develop connections of, oh, it's the holidays and this is a stressful time for me. So your brain starts firing these anxious signals to you when it starts to see these other things that you used to associate with this was a really stressful time. So it makes sense, right, that you're starting to feel more anxiety around the holidays. I also notice, whether we're on social media, whether we're watching TV, we're also inundated with so many commercials of like, buy this, do this. There's a lot of like demand to do something, right? And to be active and get something and buy more things and, call someone, send a card. There's just so much pressure, I think, that comes with this time of year.
Great time
Uh,
to take a break from social media.
there it is. There it is. But I think that to sit down and ask yourself, like, talk to yourself about your anxiety. What's coming up for me right now? What is my fear? What's the stress that's coming up? Is it tied to these past experiences? Is it necessarily what's coming up in this moment right now? Um, and I would really separate out, where is this anxiety coming from? Is it history, or is it stuff I'm experiencing in the present moment? And I think that with anxiety, because it's so uncomfortable, so often we say, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. How do I not feel this? When instead of trying to push it away, we greet it and say, well, what's going on here? Right? Ask yourself some questions about it, because when you try to push it away and say, I need to be happy, I need to not feel stressed, your anxiety is just going to come on stronger. So greet yourself with curiosity and say, well, what's this anxiety about? What am I feeling? And are there specific times that the anxiety is triggered more? Is it when I'm at the mall, because retail is triggering this for me? Is it when I'm talking to family members? What is it? What is this bringing up? When is it coming up for me? And how do I try to understand where it might be coming from today? And then I want you to say, well, what is it that I can do to give to myself during this time, as opposed to saying, I need to not feel stressed. If I am feeling stressed, how do I nurture myself through this stress? How do I take care of myself through this, as opposed to saying, well, I don't want to feel this way? That's going to lead you to more safety and ability to be able to comfort yourself during this time than saying, how do I just not feel this?
Grief and loss around the holidays.
Mm.
For many people, the holidays are very difficult, especially if there's new loss. First holidays without someone, holidays after a breakup, even second, third, right? To sit around at Christmas dinner and know that there was someone missing, someone you love. So we want there, that includes pets,
Yeah.
right? So you might have to take breaks. You might have to be really aware of what your capacity is and what you need to take care of yourself. You need a tremendous amount of attunement during this time of year.
I think if you have places that you feel safe to be honest about the feelings, right? So, so often during the holidays, we'll be seeing people we haven't seen in a while. Um, and they might say, like, hey, how are you doing? And I think the default answer is always, oh, I'm good. Like, how are you? Um, and as opposed to jumping to default answer, you can be very honest and authentic if you're feeling safe in those conversations and in those environments. To just be like, hey, it's been really hard. I no longer have this person with me, but I'm working through it. And I think the more that you can connect your internal self with your external self, it also gives you that space to be able to grieve, because the more that we push it away and we feel like we have to put on a face and pretend like we're doing okay, the lonelier you're going to feel in those environments. And the more you do that over and over and over again, the more that loneliness will build. So even if you're just mentioning it and in these small moments and connecting your internal world externally, I think the more it gives you the opportunity to reach out to others, and it gives other people the opportunity to be there for you, even just in those small moments.
Um, what brings up another question people ask, let's see if we can look this together. Somebody said, how to manage when family members are fake on holidays.
Yeah. Ugh.
That's hard, right? So you're sitting here and you just gave out very good advice about having your insides match your outsides. And then a question is, well, what about when that doesn't fucking work?
I'm laughing because I just thinking about myself personally and how I have such like I want everyone to put everything out on the table at all times. Like I would just like everyone to like say how they feel and like I don't like dancing around things. I'm just laughing about myself personally, how I might call it out in like a small way. I don't know if I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but I think it
Don't
depends.
take this advice
Don't take
necessarily,
this
guys.
advice. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I was thinking about myself personally because also everyone's family dynamics are
Yeah.
different. Um, there's more safety for me to do that. People will like laugh and joke about things. Um, but I think the question isn't necessarily about the other person being fake. I think it's about how does it affect you
Yeah.
when other people around you are being fake? What does it bring up for you?
I see that there is I think we're also talking about then maybe the importance of processing afterwards. And I'm not even just saying processing with other people. Sometimes it's processing with yourself and or through journaling and written word of like, what did I just experience? Like, why was that sort of that was just something I got even from my doula when I had my birth, that she was like, let's talk through what just happened here. And I was like, oh yeah, there's that thing that nurse said to me. And she was like, yeah, that was pretty fucked up, right? Um, but at the time, you're like focusing on something else. You're on survival in any of these like high stress situations. And so I'm wondering what it would be like for you to process afterwards,
Yeah.
right? But somebody did say, can you please share some pre-holiday gathering mantras? So first one I'm going to say is, I am safe. For most of us, unless you are not, I'm not talking about that. If you're in an unsafe situation, we always want you to get the care you need. Call an emergency support line. But if you're actually physically safe, right? I'm going to be okay. I'm going to survive this. So no matter, even if some motherfucker makes some comment about food and I'm struggling, I can walk out of here and hold on to my recovery.
Yes.
I can walk out of here and I can be okay after this. And really re-regulating and talking down your nervous system.
Yeah. And maybe I'm not responsible for other people's
Mm,
emotional reactions. I'm not responsible for other people's emotions. The only person I am responsible for is me.
mm,
And I get to decide what I do with my emotions and what I do with my boundaries. I have complete control over what I do with my boundaries. And that includes taking physical space if you need it. That includes saying, hey, that really hurt my feelings. And so I think that reminding yourself of the emotional and physical boundaries that you're able to set between other people and yourself. And I
yeah.
think that's, it brings up a lot of these questions is like, you're spending so much time with family. And that can be really reactivating for us is to spend that much time with family. We don't always spend that much time with them. And a lot of the times we regress. It pulls us back into this like childlike self or things that we experienced growing up and it brings it back to the surface. And so I think that the person who asked this question, what do I do if someone's fake? My guess is that like you've experienced this before. Otherwise, you wouldn't ask us the question. And so I think another question is like, what have you done in the past when someone has been fake? What does that bring up for you? And is there anything that you want to do differently this year? Are there ways in which you have handled that haven't been working for you? And are there things that you want to do to change that response to other people being fake? Do you want to say something? Do you want to step out of the room? Do you just think about, is there anything that I want to do differently? Because you can't control whether that other person is fake or whether they're authentic. What you can control is what you do with that. Just looking at the questions.
Yeah.
Um,
Wait. So wait,
go,
wait. Okay.
no, you go.
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. You got it. You got it. You go first.
Okay. Balancing what I want versus what my partner wants from holiday celebration. We're gonna choose that
That was the exact one I was going to choose.
one. Okay.
We're both the
So
dealers.
So, first, we're going to always talk about meeting our partner with kindness and curiosity. So, one, having the conversation and not making assumptions. So, the first thing I do is make sure everyone's in a good headspace. And we're not going to do it the night before the holiday. We're going to do it ahead of time. We're going to have a warm cup of tea. We're going to get snuggled in a comfy situation and we're going to talk like grown ass fucking adults.
There it is.
What would give you joy this holiday season? What would give me joy? And how do we work these two worlds in together? Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Right?
Yes.
If you automatically go in and say, you want to know what? I don't want to deal with your fucking mother. Is very different than me saying, I want to walk out of that dinner feeling like you and I are a team.
Yeah.
Those are two different ways
And
to approach the
how do we
situation.
get there?
And how
Right.
do we get there? Right.
I think this is a big question, depending on how far into your relationship you are, right? How long you've been together, is that every couple comes to a point where they have to decide, right? You know, I had this tradition growing up, you had this tradition growing up. What are we going to build together?
Mm,
And what happens is that you have to create something new that blends those two together or balances what you both want. That can be really hard to negotiate because what it means is that you both are having to give up something too. You're gaining something new, but I think what comes with that is this grief of letting something old go that no longer will your holidays look like they once did because you're having to create something new with your partner. And that's a really beautiful thing. But at the same time, it comes with letting certain things go, things that you really cherished. And so I would say, what's the fear of letting some of those things go? And what are those things that you're thinking that you're going to have to give up in order to
mhm.
negotiate this with your partner? And if there's a fear of letting those things go or giving those things up, are there ways to incorporate it into this new tradition that you're building with your partner? Sometimes that takes years to figure out. It takes years of going through this holiday.
Yeah.
So if this is your first holiday, really navigating this with your partner, if it's your second, just know that this is something that takes time and something you can figure out over time about what this looks like.
Um, yeah, I was thinking about, the idea we talk about from our family of origin of um take what works and leave the rest.
Yeah.
Right. And so something as simple of here is what I really cherish and value.
Yeah.
But also you have to hear what your partner really cherishes and values. And I know that's hard when you first create your new family that you're working towards. There is a grief in that like I'm not going to spend my whole Christmas tradition, my whole holiday tradition the same way. And so you might have to give yourself a little space to be like, wow, this is hard. This is the first year that I'm not doing the first night of Hanukkah with my parents. I usually would. I'm going somewhere else. And so you're going to have to make something, and it's going to be a little challenging to do that. And that's why I'm also saying that you and your partner need to be on the same team to handle that transition.
No one really preps you for that change
No.
when you get into a long-term relationship,
Well,
like
that's why you should marry someone of a different religion.
which is it
What you
literally
did.
is it's the easiest thing ever. I'm like,
The
Christmas,
easiest
great.
way.
What are we doing?
You're dude, how hype I mean, you have a tree now. How much do you love
I
your
mean, I don't
tree?
right now, but we threw it out.
Oh, you loved it last
Loved
year.
it. I loved it so much.
Why'd you throw
We had
it
to
out?
throw a lot out when we were going through our renovations. But let me tell you, I loved that tree. It was
You
beautiful.
did.
But you know, to be able to go to my husband's family's house to enjoy Christmas, it's there's such an ability to balance it. And I hear a lot of the time, a lot of the negotiation that happens is that during Thanksgiving, you spend it with one partner's family, and during Christmas, you spend it with the other partner's family. And then you switch off every year, right? That I hear a lot of that negotiation coming on
Yeah.
because the holidays are so close to each other.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think the simplest solution is marry someone of a different religion.
Duh.
Really makes it easy. And you
Done.
you get to experience different religions. You get to
There you go,
experience
great.
different
Exposure.
holidays, that exposure.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. I really like this question just because I'm really interested to see how we talk through this because I don't know the answer.
Okay.
How to handle the awkwardness of gift receiving. My mother in law gives huge gifts and expects huge reactions. Ooh, so that's hard,
That is so hard.
right? Imagine like being on the spot like that. That would
Yeah.
be very challenging because you're then like, oh, like I'm performing,
100%.
right? So I guess one thing is you could fake it.
I was gonna say, I mean, what would you do, Em?
I would fake it, but you
Of
know
course.
me.
I would do the
But
same.
that's because I'm like, I keep my, but for some people, that's really uncomfortable. For me, I'm like, well, fucking whatever. I'll dance for you all. Um, I find it difficult. So I have like if somebody gives you like a pair of socks or some shit, right? You're
Yeah.
like, thanks.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Let
sometimes.
me tell you, I love socks. I can't get enough. Can't get holes in them. Can't get enough socks.
So I feel like it's such, but I don't know, what would you do? That's why I wanted to answer this question because I wasn't really sure.
Okay, so I guess here's kind of a larger question on top of this question is sometimes gifts are actually for you, and sometimes getting gifts are actually for another person. If we're being honest, right? Like this gift that you're getting is clearly not really for you,
Hmm.
right? This gift that you're getting is really a gift back to, was it a mother-in-law or is it a mother? Who was it?
You said mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law. This is a gift back. Your reaction is the gift to your mother-in-law, if you think about it like that,
Yeah.
right? So I think you can think about, right. I think everyone thinks about gifts kind of in the same way of like, oh, when you're buying a gift, you're buying it for the other person. And this is for what they need, what they want. A lot of the times, buying gifts is really so that the person can feel good about the fact that they got you something.
Yeah. I love
So
buying gifts. You know me.
yeah, you're so good at buying
I
gifts.
love buying gifts. Yeah.
What do you like about it?
I like giving people shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like shopping and I like not having more stuff in my house. So I really use it
Do
to
you care? Do you care about the people's reaction? Like if someone was like, oh, I don't really like this. Like, would that hurt you?
I don't know. No one's ever said that to me. I don't. No, no. Have you met me? I'd probably be like, oh, well, here's a gift receipt. Like, I don't know.
I think you would just be like, I'll take it anyway. Give it to someone else.
Yeah.
That's
That's what I would say. I
you
would
would
be
do.
like, oh, okay, well, now use it for a white
Yeah,
elephant or
yeah.
something, right? Like, that's
So
totally what I would do. I don't think because I tried my best.
yes,
That's how it feels. Like, if
exactly.
you don't like it, there's nothing I can do. I thought you liked this gift. Guess I missed the mark. I'll try again next year. That's how I feel.
Right. So you're not like hard on yourself. So I think that's a big when someone's giving you a gift, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that the bigger question too is like, what's your relationship like with your mother-in-law? You know, how does your mother-in-law typically
I
react to
bet
things?
you feel pressured by
There might
her.
be pressure, there might be some way that you need to take care of her. And
Mhm.
so this might connect to a larger question of like, what does your relationship look like with your mother-in-law
Yeah.
in general? Um, and so I also would want to know if you don't have a huge reaction, what happens? You know, if you don't freak out about the gift that she got you, like what will happen in your relationship? Does
Yeah.
she talk to your partner about it? Does she come up and ask you questions about it? Does she like what does that look like? Um, because I think that this gift giving might touch on some larger things in your
Yeah.
relationship. And then you have to decide, am I okay with that? Right? Am I okay with the fact that when she gives me gifts, it's not really about me and it's really about her?
Yeah.
And can I be okay with that? And is the gift I want to give back to her a reaction? Do I want to be really authentic and be like, thank you. We
Mhm.
don't really need this, like, but thank you so much. There are ways to go about it, even if it's something that you're not excited about or you don't like. You can say, thank you. This was so thoughtful of you because of what, right? This is so thoughtful. I don't know if we're going to be able to use this, but I will figure it out, right?
Yeah.
There's ways to be kind and authentic about it without freaking
Yeah.
out and having to perform.
Are you ready for Dear Em and Jen?
Of course. Oh, wow. Time flies always.
Dear Em and Jen, how do you unlearn parentification in adult relationships or consciously break through the thought process? I'm a daughter to two addicts, and my mother was in prison for the majority of my life. I grew up incredibly fast. was always the caretaker and needed to be hyper aware of the adult emotions around me to keep the peace. Now in my adult relationship, I am so rigid with my thinking and always trying to fix, heal, etc. because control was the only thing that made me feel safe. I am working as loving as they are and not overstepping the caretaking, but it is so hard. I'm afraid of letting go of that control will lead to disappointment and hurt.
Oh, I want to hug this person.
Yeah. So, first of all, congratulations. First step is realizing how codependent you are, right? And you said all this stuff, right? So, then we talked about, we've gone through this before: insight, awareness, action. You have the insight. I think you have the awareness. It sounds like now we have to get to the action. You're going to have to try. And so I know that you are so fucking scared to do this differently. And it's going to take a lot of trial of doing it differently, but you already know it's the right way. And the risk of doing something new is you do give up the safety of what's worked.
Yeah. And I think something that's really important to remember when you are learning how to unlearn parentification is that the love and care that you are pouring outwards towards others is the love and care that you needed as a child. And in order to break that pattern, it's essential for you to turn that love and care inward and to reparent yourself. You are giving others what you didn't receive growing up. And when you were younger, giving that to others was your control. It was the only control you had, was to try to give and take care of your parents. That was your survival mechanism. As an adult, that survival mechanism is no longer working for you. And so, what I want you to do is take that love and care that you are pouring outwards, and I want you to turn it inwards and say, how do I give to myself the things that I needed growing up and I wasn't receiving from adults in my life?
That's it for today's episode. We hope you have a wonderful holiday season in whatever that looks like. And if it's not feeling so wonderful, we hope you give yourself the peace and the gift to let it be what it is. We always ask you to rate, review, subscribe, follow on Apple Podcasts. You can follow us at ShrinkChicks on Instagram. You can buy our merch at shrinkchicks.com/merch. You can check out our journal on Amazon. ShrinkChicks journal is right on into that search bar. Hey, if you are starting or wanting to move forward or switch it up in your healing journey, we would love to connect you with one of our amazing clinicians. You can check out thetherapygroup.com. Have a great, hello, sweet Nelly. Watch this video so you can see Jen's cutest cat in the entire world. We love you. We're thinking about you. And we can't wait to see you going into the new year. Don't forget that to grow yourself, you got to know yourself.